couple things before we get started. Number one, absolutely going to have snoring dog in this video. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing Molly can do about it. She's 14. She's tired. She sleeps by my feet. It's just the way it goes. If you think I'm going to wake up a 14-year-old dog for a video on Luke Raley, you don't know me very well. Number two, I forgot a couple players. Well, I forgot one player, and then I've decided I don't want to do a video on another one. Not a full video, anyway. The player I forgot is Rowdy Tellez. How dare I forget a triple B, a big beefy boy. Come on. Really a quad B, big beautiful beefy boy. Rowdy Tellez was not very good. He was last in Seattle Mariners among WAR. He stunk. But there's two positives from Rowdy Tellez that I wanted to point out. Number one, and this is a backhanded compliment at most, he sort of amplified the need to go get bats for this offense. Shouldn't have taken Rowdy Tellez stinking to do that, but hey. And it wasn't just that, but you guys know what I mean. Number two, one thing Rowdy Tellez did really well was that he dug a lot of throws out. When I watched Rowdy Tellez, and I watched every game, that's a bad snore. When I watched Rowdy Tellez, I came away impressed with his ability to dig out those low throws from some infielders, and we'll talk about those low throws when we get to those players. But he helped there. He was a better helper with the glove than with the bat. Sad. But yeah, Rowdy Tellez, you absolutely were a Seattle Mariner, and I apologize for forgetting about you in the first video. And then the guy I decided I'm not going to do a full video on is Casey Legumina. And it's kind of weird because 49 and 2/3 innings, that's quite a bit for a reliever. Like, we saw a lot of Casey Legumina. It's just not worth a 10-minute video for me to tell you what Casey Legumina is. He is a guy who helped that bullpen quite a bit in the early stages when Gregory Santos was stinking / injured. And, well, he was injured for a lot of it. Colin Snyder not being the guy that he was in 2024. Matt Brash not being available early on. Casey Legumina kind of stepped up. I think Dan Wilson went to that well a little too much, but Legumina helped, and then he obviously became, as the season went on, kind of the garbage time guy, a couple up and downs. It's decent stuff. Horrible command. Just not good enough command to ever be a high leverage guy. If he's still with Seattle, I'm sure he'll compete for one of the final bullpen spots in 2026, but far from a lock and certainly not worth a 10-minute video. But Casey Legumina, you absolutely were a Seattle Mariner in 2025. Let's talk about Luke Raley. First, before that, sorry. This should be Bryce Miller, because if we're going in order, again, from worst WAR to best WAR, then the guy should be Bryce Miller. I need a little more time for Bryce Miller. I should be able to do it tomorrow. I have some texts out. I'm watching some stuff. I'm checking out some game logs. I remember a lot of Bryce Miller. I love what I saw from Bryce Miller at the end of the year. I'll tell you that. I just need a little more time. And then also a reminder for pitchers. All of our pitchers will be exclusively for Mile Y Enthusiast. It's $4.99 a month to join. I can't promise you a ton of content outside of this next couple of months, but I'm going to try. And it really helps me. And it really helps the channel. So if you have $5, really would appreciate it. If you don't have $5, I'm right there with you. Okay, Luke Raley. I think it's important to talk about what Luke Raley did in 2024 before we talk about 2025. Luke Raley played in 137 games for the Mariners in 2024. He hit 22 homers. He had a 783 OPS. He stole 11 bases. And outside of one horrendous month, Luke Raley was one of the best offensive players for the Seattle Mariners. And I think it was reasonable to expect Luke Raley to be a solid sixth hitter maybe not a moto guy, middle of the order guy, but a guy who can be one of your better backhand pitchers. Pitchers? Weird. Backhand hitters. Maybe it's because I was talking about Bryce Miller. Maybe it's because I'm not good at this. There were reasons to expect Luke Raley to be a contributor. He was a guy who was worth 3.2 B WAR in 2024 after being worth 2.7 for Tampa Bay in 2023. Nope. 73 games, 219 plate appearances. He hit 202, 319, 311 with 4 homers, 64 strikeouts and 219 plate appearances, 135, by the way, and 455 in 2024. 19 RBI. If you're into that sort of thing, 2 stolen bases, yuck. Luke Raley was really bad in 2025. And yes, there was some injury stuff, but also Luke Raley just wasn't it. To say the very least, Luke Raley was not it. An OPS plus in 2024 of 128, that is a above average, borderline well above average offensive player. He was 85, and again, 100 is average. So he was 15 points below average in OPS, which is a flawed stat, but I think is a pretty indicative number of what Luke Raley brought the Seattle Mariners. Those who watched our Locked On recaps last year, thank you, by the way, know that he was kind of a scapegoat's probably too strong a word and not the right word. Certainly not the right word, but a guy we picked on a lot. A guy that we absolutely picked on a lot, and it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out whatsoever. Let's take a look at the Savant page. Maybe the Savant page suggests that there was some bad luck for Luke Raley. Maybe there are some signs that suggest that Luke Raley, who's 31 years old, far from the end of his prime or anything like that, or far from the twilight anyway. Let's see. Is there some numbers here that suggest that Luke Raley still has a bright future? The answer is mostly no. I'll give you some positives first. He still has good bat speed, 73.8 miles per hour. That's well above average. He barreled the baseball 10.6% of the time. That is a well above average number, or at least a above average number. It's worth pointing out that Luke Raley didn't qualify for anything because of injuries and because of crappiness. He didn't play enough. So, yeah, that's another thing to keep in mind here. He walked at a solid rate, 8.7%. You'd like to see it closer to 9, but that's a good number. That's a number that can work. Chase rate of 27% would have been qualified as above average, along with the walk rate. And a hard hit percentage of 42.3, which is almost exactly average. Almost exactly average. Maybe a tick above. So those are good numbers. They don't really matter when you swing and miss and strike out as much as Luke Raley does. And let's get this out of the way. I'll probably mention it for a few other guys here. Strikeouts are just outs. That's been proven. It's math. Swinging and missing is problematic because if you swing and miss, nothing good can happen. Now, a few bad things can happen. We've talked about this ad nauseum. We don't have to do it again. But not a lot of good, if any, comes from swinging and missing. And this dude whiffed 40.8% of the time. The fact that that's not like last among qualified is crazy. And again, he didn't qualify, but you can see on the Savant page, it just says ugly. Whiff rate of strikeout rate of 29.2 to go with it. Expected batting average of 213, which explains how you get such a low expected batting average of 213, even while having a decent barrel rate, even while having a decent hard hit percentage. It's because you swing and miss a whole bunch. Your expected batting average is going to be pretty low. I taught you something today. I don't think I did. Squared up only 17.3% of the time. Expected slugging percentage was only 349. And boy, that's a low number for having a very solid barrel rate. Defensively, he's got a decent little arm. He It looks goofy as hell, but he can run. His sprint speed was in the 84th percentile. He was not a good defensive first baseman, and I think they kind of figured that out pretty early. A lot of people wondering, why is Luke Raley not? Now, should he have gotten more reps in spring training? I think so. Maybe there was some injury stuff, or maybe they just flat out didn't believe in it. But they used him enough during the season to suggest to me that Luke Raley had a plan there. But I do remember him not being used nearly enough, or less than I would have liked to have seen, for a guy I just kind of assumed was going to be the starting first baseman this year. He was not. Oh boy, was he not the starting first baseman. Well, let's get into the splits because these are ugly. So this is kind of interesting. Luke Raley only had 1 month where he had more than 50 at bats, and that was April, because they were giving him the shot. And boy, oh boy, did he not take advantage of that shot. And then he gets hurt. It's worth pointing that out. But I just want to do the month by month, because then we can do the obvious, the left versus right thing. In April, he had a 612 OPS. In June, very small sample of 29 at bats, he had an 812 OPS. July, his second most playing time, 645. August, he went 1 for 13. September, he went 5 for 29. August, his OPS was 231. September, 501. All right. Bad. Really, really bad. The left versus right thing. Now, kudos to the Mariners for realizing that Luke Raley was a lost cause against lefties, because he only got 32 at bats against him, and he hits 094. He struck out 10 times in those 32 at bats. He had an OPS of 319 against him, but against righties, 225, 344. 344 is a solid on base percentage. You can rock with 344. It's just harder to rock with it with 351 slugging. The power just wasn't there. I think some of that is due to injury. I just can't help but think some of that is due to injury. But this is the problem with Luke Raley. He's not a great defensive player. He is not a guy that you can hit against left-handed pitching. So I guess he's a decent bench bat because of the fact he can play the corner outfields. But not really. It's kind of tough. I wanted to do the stuff, his by pitch stuff as well. Against four-seam fastballs, he hit 200 with a 267 slugging percentage. Against sliders, he hit 185 with a 373 slugging percentage. Against changeups, he did pretty well. 269, 423 slugging percentage, weighted on base average of 363. That's solid. And then against sinkers, which sinkers are misclassified, but two-seam fastballs, 222 batting average, 278 slugging percentage, but did a nice job making contact against him. He only whiffed 19% of the time against them. Against changeups, by the way, he whiffed 58.7% of the time. So basically, if you made contact, great. It's just crazy because in 2025, I know, Molly, we're almost done. Again, in 2025, against four-seam fastballs, he had a run value of -3. In 2024, he was one of the very best fastball hitters in baseball. He slugged 267 in 2025 against him. He slugged 773 in 2024. So part of me says, hey, maybe healthy Luke Raley can help you a lot more. But part of me also says the guy I watched, really hard to justify him being on the roster. And there's the financial implications here too. Luke Raley is, I believe, eligible for arbitration. Yep. It's not a huge number. It's going to be something like, We made $754,000, I believe, last year. I guess it's like two and a half. Do you want Luke Raley back? Man, he was disappointing to me. I had decent expectations from Luke Raley, and I think justifiable expectations, but also justifiably, I hated seeing him come to the plate in 2025. Hated it because I had no expectations by the middle of the year. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, please support Simply Seattle. Link in the description. They're the best. I love them so very much. I love all of you. We'll be back, I think, with Bryce Miller tomorrow. And again, Mile Y enthusiasts, $4.99. Okay. Sorry, Luke. Hope it gets better.